Guys. Okay, so I haven't been on live in a couple weeks. I've been having internet issues. So I have figured out my internet situation for now, and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, this works out okay. This week, I kind of took off from like posting on my feed, and really I was focusing in on I just needed some time and space to kind of process what I've been going through myself. So that's what I did this week, and it's been really interesting the kind of answers I've been getting. I've been online periodically. I wasn't taking like a social media fast or anything like that. I just didn't. I couldn't create for this week because I had some of my own work to do first. So that's kind of like how I manage my self-care with my service. Like that's how I have to balance it. And so this week, which is so funny for me to be on live on a week that I wasn't posting on my feed. So it's just funny how things work out. But I was just taking some time, and it was really in response to a lot of the stuff I talked about last week with inner child work and what wounds come up and how we sometimes respond to them. And so I also I got some ideas this week, so I know that it was the space was needed. I had some inspiration that came through. That's always fun. Now I have to go work on it, so that's always interesting. And then, but what was really coming up was the need, how we can balance, because it wasn't just me. There were people around me who were kind of experiencing the same thing, which is they needed the time away from their routine to recalibrate. I think a lot of us are kind of going through this process of embodiment. I keep coming up with this one word, and everything I'm hearing from all the stuff that I follow, from the people around me, is kind of coming around to the same thing, which is I have this, I'm at this level now, and now I have to, I'm kind of adjusting, I'm like graduating from this one level onto a next one, and there's this resistance to this new level. So we're kind of staying stuck in an old pattern, and old patterns aren't always bad. Like an old pattern can serve you, but you may be at a point like this is my situation right now, where my old pattern served me for a specific purpose, and I'm done with it now, and I have to move on to this new pattern, but I have no idea how to create this new pattern. And I'm really at that stage where I have to like kind of dive into the pool and see what happens. And but I've been seeing a lot of this stuff come up around embodiment. And embodiment really is, the way that I define it, is doing better once you know better. You guys have probably heard the quote from Maya Angelou, is once you know better, do better. And I've always had an issue with that perception, with that saying in particular, not because she's wrong, she's right, and it's always been something that I've strived to do in my own life. But where I always get hung up on is, why don't we? There's a lot of us who don't. There's a period of time for where we resist that doing better, even though we know better. And the question is why? Because I'm at that stage, and I do this to myself so many times. I've just become more aware of the process. I know part of the process is, sorry guys, I have this weird rash that I'm breaking out in, so I'm gonna keep scratching that thing. But I keep coming back to this one thing where I'm just like, why don't I always do better when I do know better? Because I do know better about a lot of things, and I don't act in accordance to that knowledge. That knowledge kind of just sits there in my brain collecting dust, and I'm not doing anything with it. So why am I doing that? Why am I collecting the knowledge? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm not using it. I'm just collecting it. And I'm hoarding it because I'm not doing anything with it myself, and I'm not sharing it with any other people. So why am I collecting and hoarding this knowledge, and what does that give me? What is the resistance? Why am I resisting embodying this new knowledge? Is it just not for me? Very possible. Sometimes that happens. Or is there something on the other side of this embodiment process that I am scared of? Unclear about, know it's right for me and I'm avoiding it. You know, all classics, just wounds of narcissistic abuse, which is just like, who am I to be that bitch. And this is also something that's been coming through for me a lot this past month, actually, almost all of October. I've been having this one consistent thought, which is, I have the ability to be that bitch, capital T, capital B. What does that mean? Why am I stopping myself from doing that? Why am I half-hearting it? And this is a pattern I have. I've done this for as long as I can remember, and part of this pattern is cocooning myself. So whenever I have a major change, there's always like this 2 to 3 week period where I am just, I can't say I'm necessarily taking care of myself, but I do disconnect to a very pathological degree. Like, it's not healthy. I'm the first one to admit it. But I always get out of it. Like, I always come out of it. I always have to cocoon really hard, come into myself whenever I'm in the middle of a major change, or once I've kind of gone through the process of doing the actual change portion. The post-mortem of that is usually just me hunkering down by myself in a room for a while. Again, I'm not even quite sure that's the healthiest aspect of what I do, but that is my pattern. So I've just learned to accept it. Like, that's what's going to happen. And instead of trying to change it into something that looks better for whoever else might be judging me, which is everyone, we all judge. And I judge myself harder than anyone can ever judge me. But you take that out and I'm just like, okay, I understand that this is what I do. So I've stopped fighting it, the process of it. But we get to this point of, why do some of us not do better when we know better? And this is a lesson, and it's everyone's going to say, like, we have different reasons for doing it. Yeah and no. There is a big worthiness thing around it. There is a calibration that goes on. So whenever you do up level, however that looks like in your life, everyone's up leveling looks different. But for me, this has been more about my own self-sovereignty, like me coming into my own, not even just taking responsibility for everything that I do, because I've done that for a long time, but really to own the fact that I have complete control over how I walk and talk and live in the world. So why am I not walking, talking, and living better? And that resistance to, Rama, you can be better, seems complicated when you dig into it a little bit. Be like, oh, okay, that can come from the parents, and that can come from inner child wound, or in your teenager, or all of that at once. It could be shadow work. Or it's just, this is my process with change. And to a certain degree, there comes a point in everyone's healing where at some point you have to start pathologizing yourself. You have to stop telling yourself that this comes, like, whatever you're doing is somehow A, isn't right, and B, it comes from some sort of wound. Sometimes it's just your process. And this is just my process. I know I'm about to make a very significant change in how I live, walk, and talk in the world. I know that's going to happen. I know I've been preparing for it, and this is just part of my process. And it's not pretty. Like, it's not like Instagram worthy, and it doesn't photograph well. It doesn't even write very well. Like, right now I don't have a lot of words. Like, the words are not there yet. I'm still working on this on an energetic level. I have not solidified this into something 3D yet, but there's something here. And a lot of it is like, for me, it's definitely about channeling that bitch energy, T capital B, and making sure my mindset is in a place where I can embody that version of myself, without taking my inner criticism as real or necessary. Your inner critic sometimes comes out just at the worst possible times, and it's right a time when you're about to make a shift. Like, small shifts add up. It could be a big shift. But really, embodiment is really about, what habit do I have to now incorporate into my day, and in turn with that, what needs to come out. Because remember, you have a finite space in your day. Your day is 24 hours, whether you're me, you, or Beyonce, we all have the same 24 hours. But within that day, you can only do so much. You can't do it all. So what if you're embodying something new, something has to leave in its place. And there's a grieving process in that, because our habits make up who we are. So if it's just because I'm sitting here, that came through, I'll say it. But it could be that you want to read more, and that's necessary now for this new version of you. Maybe to offset that, you have to get rid of the 2 hours of news you watch every day. There's a grieving process in that. Releasing that one habit and incorporating a new one is not as simple as playing with puzzle pieces. That's not how it works, because you're creating a new identity with your habits. And a lot of people, I've been lucky to come across habit researchers who understand that. But I think what gets lost, even in some of the most fantastic resources around habits, is that when you remove a habit to replace it with a quote better one, you still have a grieving process to go with the part of you that used that old habit that was helpful for you for a certain amount of time, however long that was, whether that was years, months, days, or just like a season, whatever it was. Oh, that's a shadow. There's a grieving process in that embodiment, and embodiment does require, yes, I have to put in this new habit, but what's leaving as a result of that? Because I can't do everything I want to do for this new version of me and keep doing the stuff that created this old version of me. Now, old and new is a relative term. Like, does it mean that the old version of you was bad and this new version of you is better? I mean, it could be for for the stage of your life that you're in and what you're going into doing next and what is required of you. But it's also, you're going to grieve a little bit, especially if this habit that has to be replaced has done its job for you. But you enjoyed it, and you still might enjoy it. But it's okay to grieve. And I know I'm going through that right now because I've been really resistant to giving up a couple of habits and to replace them with these new ones that I have to replace them with. Even though I know that the new habits aren't necessarily new, they're just, they're no longer negotiable. I have to make them a permanent part of my lifestyle, instead of doing it part-time or, when I feel like it kind of deal. It has to become a habit versus something I dabble with. And that's still really hard. And it's okay that if you're at a place right now, because I feel like the collective is going through this, which is, how do I become this upgraded version of me while holding on to the old operating system? And you can't do that. You can't. And yes, that's coming from the fact that I was just upgrading my computer, so that's where that came from. So anyway, I don't have much else to say today. I will be changing how I do these lives. I'm working out a format, so it's a little bit more coherent. It's not just me rambling, but I do have a plan in mind. So stay tuned for that. I will be back next week with more inner child stuff. I've been really just whenever you do this work on your own, it always just creates this vast, endless abyss of just stuff that I want to talk to you guys about, and hopefully it'll help you guys as much as it's helping me. But otherwise, I will see you guys again soon, and I will also, hopefully next week, I'll share with you how I'm going to be doing these going forward. But other than that, have a great weekend, guys. I hope everyone enjoys their time. Take time out for yourself. Check in with yourself. See what you need. Try to do your best to give it to you. And if it's not perfect, don't worry. Nobody's judging. Well, don't judge yourself. Everyone judges, but don't judge yourself if you can help it. But work on that. And give yourself what you need. And if you have any suggestions, for stuff you want me to talk about, please leave me a comment or on a post on this thing, on a story, whatever. And I will do my best to incorporate them as we move forward. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys soon, all right? Bye.